Hi, this is your host Swapnil Bhartiya and welcome to another episode of TFiR Let's Talk here at KubeCon in Detroit. And today we have with us Jeremy Tanner, Senior Developer Advocate at Equinix. Jeremy, it's great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me here. Excited to be here. Excited to be in Detroit.
There was a KubeCon last year also in Los Angeles, if I'm not wrong. But I think this is the full force after kind of when pandemic is slowing down. But the organization has been very careful. We are still wearing masks to make everybody feel comfortable. Which also means that the booth area, the hallway tracks are back. So what have you seen in this KubeCon?
So first day, but I have seen a lot of the vendors come back, a lot of the open source projects come back, a lot of the, a greater number of attendees than were probably either in Valencia or in LA last year. And it's good to see some of the familiar faces. It's great to be meeting new folks. I've spent some time in the Equinix booth already, and hearing folks let me know what they've been working on and what they're excited about right now. Yeah, I think and the food, like folks have been out in town. The buzz, I think, is pizza. Folks who weren't familiar with Detroit pizza are having their first square pizza experience.
Back to Equinix and Packet. Packet was acquired, a couple of years, and talk a bit about how. I mean, we talk to Equinix and Packet folks on a regular basis, but just give us an update, what's going on there.
In the time since acquisition, we lovingly call the artist formerly known as Packet, has become Equinix Metal, and over that time we've been able to put more hardware, more different kinds of hardware in more places. So Equinix has more than 240 globally distributed data centers, and so we continue to move into, we as Equinix Metal continue to move into more and more of those data centers so that folks can bring hardware close to their users on demand, so you're able to get in there in minutes instead of months. We've seen all across the industry supply chain difficulties, and so whether that be getting compute, network, and storage hardware, timelines have stretched past 12 months to 18 months, and so being able to get something on demand has been really useful to a lot of folks. And then beyond having it on demand, having that addressable via infrastructure as code and configuration tools. So like using Terraform instead of writing service tickets. And the Packet was almost entirely about adding an API to bare metal, offering it as a service, and so trying to push that across Equinix's portfolio of products, and so to include Network Edge, to include Fabric, to include the compute and storage that's provided by Equinix Metal, and so API all the things.
I also want to talk a bit about what is driving the adoption of bare metal in the Kubernetes space, because most of the time we look at, just move to a hyperscaler, all your problems are magically solved, and you don't have to worry about anything tomorrow. So what is driving the adoption of bare metal in this space? And then we'll talk about the complexity, challenges, and things like that.
Bare metal has been super useful for folks that need it. And so I think the thing driving adoption is use cases that involve somewhat reduced complexity or a need for performance. So there's performance database projects that we hear from. And so if milliseconds matter in your database, they probably matter in your network. They probably matter on your hardware. And it is a nice position to be in to not care about what hardware you're running on, but more and more, if you're looking for writing for a specific architecture, if you need an ARM machine with a lot of cores, that's something. If you're looking for to do work that requires GPUs, that's something. And with metal, you're able to bare metal, you're able to know what hardware you're running on more than just give me some random compute or storage.
When we look at bare metal, why should Kubernetes practitioners or the cloud native community should not concern but care or look at bare metal also, because sometimes they were like, hey, we don't have to deal with the metal part of that, right? So talk a bit about what value does bare metal bring to them, where they're like, hey, this workload is perfect for bare metal.
So workloads that are good for bare metal usually when it matters what hardware you're on. If you're trying to take advantage of GPU optimized workloads, if you're trying to make your databases as fast as it possibly can be. And I suppose it makes sense to say that not all bare metal is the same bare metal. Sometimes when folks say bare metal, they just mean a box in a crate with no network, no power. How are you going to get an operating system onto there? And when at Equinix we say bare metal, that machine lives in a data center. It happens to be connected to the world's best network. We have a API that you can use to provision it with one of about 56 different operating systems, or you're able to bring your own. And so from your side, it's no touch. I mean, unless you want to come down and work in the colo space. But instead of like, how do I get this onto the network? Where do I put this? It's not make an order and see it months later. Bring one up with the API or SDKs, CLI, or all of the tools that cloud native developers are already using, Terraform, Ansible, Crossplane. And so a large part of the work that we've been doing is writing providers for each of those to make it to meet developers where they are.
And when developers do consider, let's just talk about Equinix Metal, do have to look at things a bit differently when they are deploying anything, let's say cloud, or you make it so easy for them they really don't have to worry too much about it, or they do have to build a strategy when they are putting things on bare metal. Once again, the bare metal is not that you are actually buying the hardware is coming in, but Equinix Metal kind of setup.
There are differences. A lot of that is that you'll need to know sort of what you want. It's not here's a service that you're just going to consume. It's a machine that has an operating system on it, and after that, it's very much choose your own adventure. I suppose aided heavily by our network of partners who can help you with either container orchestration or any number of different uses, distributed databases, things like Amazon's Kubernetes distribution for outside of their hardware. EKS Anywhere has been something that folks are looking at recently, and then if they want to test on bare metal, Equinix has been a great place to do that.
I also want to talk a bit about Packet, Equinix Metal, Equinix's approach towards open source, how important it is for you folks, and how are you, contributing, collaborating with the larger cloud native community?
Since the Packet days, there was a need for infrastructure for all of the open source projects underneath the CNCF umbrella. And so, I'm trying to remember the exact number of years ago, the Community Infrastructure Lab was born. And so, even after coming into Equinix, Equinix continues to be the hardware and network that powers the Community Infrastructure Lab to the tune of $1 million annually. And open source projects that are part of the CNCF or outside of the CNCF that are 100% open source can apply to be a part of the program. And then if they need to test or build on specific hardware, or just need resources to keep their places to keep their artifacts, places to keep bandwidth costs reasonable. For open source, nothing better than free. And that's one of the things I very much enjoy being at KubeCon, Cloud Native Con, is standing at the booth and having folks walk up and you'll hear we couldn't do what we do without you. And so having access to the different types of hardware for either a short time if that's all that's required, or a longer time if that's what's needed. You can certainly feel the open source love.
I want to come back to your role, which is senior developer advocate. what does your job entail? And plus, when you look at your company, Equinix, how easy things are to do what you're doing, and how the community looks at you, the developer community, and what message you bring to them?
So a lot of the role is telling our story, and the story changes depending on the angle someone is coming from. And you often open with, "What do you know about Equinix?" And you'll be like, "Equinox, the gym." You're like, "No, we have very heavy things, but those are mostly servers and routers and places. So you don't exercise here." But we're probably steps 5 through 7 when you run traceroute. It's the world's largest provider of colocation, and we also have it's attached to the world's best network. And if you're looking for machines for a short time or a long time, we can help you out there. If you're looking to be connected to any of 9,500 different providers, GCP, AWS, Azure, and so many more. If you're looking for a secure connection there, we can help you. And then a lot of the messages for developers and operators, helping the developer relations team will write the integrations for Terraform, for Crossplane, to make sure that the tools that are popular ways to create, destroy, configure infrastructure are covered, so that but cloud native developers don't have to change the set of tools that they're using to consume what we've got.
Jeremy, thank you so much for taking time out today, sit down with me, and of course share your own journey, your own role, and also the larger ecosystem and the role that Equinix Metal is playing there. Thanks for those insights, and we should do this more often, and we should talk soon again. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Looking forward to being back.